At this point, I'd like to open the public hearing on 2.1 zoning ordinance amendment number 1802.
Thank you, Chair. I'll get the PowerPoint up and running here. Go ahead and switch it for me, Fredo. Thanks. Go ahead, next one. Now our PowerPoint's not working.
One more time.
Try to switch it and see if that's working now. There you go. All right, Chair, Commissioners, thank you for your patience. The amendment that staff is proposing changes section 17196, 200, 208, and 216 related to time extensions for variances, CUPs, public use permits, and plot plans. Approval of the amendment will create a consistent set of procedures and standards for the approved applications. The new procedures will match exactly what the council approved back a few months ago in December for parcel maps and tract maps, where they modified the entire process for time extensions. We believe this amendment will also create a more streamlined process for our applicants. The changes are summarized as follows. The planning director still maintains authority to review and approve all time extensions on these applications. It will remove the 30-day prior to expiration requirement, and so they'll have up to the day before a CUP or application expires to request a time extension. And the initial approval period, which is now 2 years, will be changed to 3 years. And then the total number of years for EOTs will be extended from 3 EOTs, 3 years basically, to 6 years. With the process as listed here below, the first extension could be 3 years, the second extension for a 2-year period, and then the last extension for a 1-year period. That process and procedure matches exactly what we have for subdivision maps. Oftentimes when we have tract maps and parcel maps, there's accompanying plot plans and CUPs with them. So it made sense to us, since we did that for the subdivision ordinance, to do it for these applications as well. So that's my short presentation. Our recommendation is for the Commission to adopt PC Resolution 2018-12, recommending City Council adoption of a general rule exemption and approval of ZOA 1802. That concludes my comments.
Do we have any community speakers on this?
Yes, we have Mr. Kenneth Mays.
All developers should be required to comply with the original timetable. Code amendments should only apply to any new development approved. The times are changing, and many of these projects should be allowed to die away. They have not been built for a good reason. There's no demand for them. First, the city gives developers 7 years to pay the dip. It used to be paid before occupancy. Now they, the city, want to extend the time to build out to 9 years by gifting developers an enormous present. This will automatically give developments that are about to expire an additional 4 years over and above what they were originally granted. Every citizen is being told that you must live by the current general plan, therefore these developers must live by their original approval. The stinks that you want to change the code, and it should not be retroactive to currently approved projects. They should have to live with their original time schedule when they were approved. Again, these projects have not moved forward because the times and circumstances have changed, and these projects are apparently stinkers that the market will not back with money. It's time for them to go away. Furthermore, to allow the planning director to approve these extensions rather than a planning commission steals from the citizens their rights to be represented by this body. This person, like most developers, doesn't even live in the city. To give one person such power is ridiculous, especially when a developer can appeal the decision to the planning commission, but the people are stuck with the decision. Thank you.
Gary Andre?
Gary Henry, community of WIldomar. I agree with what Kenny stated. Giving them more time is not the answer. If they have the money to build, they will build. You get a lot of people sit on property and sit on property. We've seen properties when I was on land development review that went through the county. Ours still not built. And it's all void now. I mean, how much time do you give them? 9 years? What if another developer wants to come in and buy that land? And we're stuck, waiting on someone who's never gonna build. Take that into consideration.
That is all, Chair.
Okay. Any discussion from staff on the concept of retroactive or not?
Well, there are no provisions in this code section that says that it's retroactive, but as current projects come up for a time extension, they will be applied to this current code amendment that's going through.
Okay. If there are no more speakers, I'd like to close the public hearing and open up commission discussion. I have a few. Okay, so this becomes 9 years, possibly 9 years plus. Recently, we had a Senate bill and multiple Assembly bills that extended our time frame out 11 years during the recession. So under that circumstance, it would go 9 plus 11, or it could be as long as 20 years, correct?
Not quite. With this extension, with this proposal, the initial period to build is 3 years. And then they would be granted 6 years, up to 6 years of time extensions. There are specific findings for those time extensions. That's the max they would get. If they can't build in 9 years with all the time extensions, then that project expires.
Right, but previously, when the Senate bill and the Assembly bills came through, they were added on for that period of time. If that was to happen again, and new Assembly bills came through with a universal extension, like they did previously, it would extend the overall time, right?
The Assembly bills and Senate bill you're talking about was only for tentative tract maps and tentative parcel maps. It did not affect
Thank you very
CUPs
much,
and
I didn't know
PUPs.
that.
So who knows what the state, in 5 years, they may come in and say that we're gonna, provide a law that says there's never a deadline to record a map. But this is specific to just the applications that are presented in the thing. And in fact, just real quick mention, Mr. Mays mentioned that the planning director shouldn't have the authority to approve these. Back in 2012, the city council amended the code to take these time extensions out of the planning commission's hands and into the planning director's hands in order to save time, staff time, the work to prepare everything, as well as cost savings to the developers. They also established a very specific set of findings. Those are the same that we have in this code amendment. So if those findings are not met, then I will not approve the time extension. And there are appeal procedures as listed in the code amendment as well for everyone to do if necessary.
You know, the bigger concern I had was for businesses, if it was able to extend, like the way I misunderstood it, a business 20 years later would look a whole lot different than what it was designed for, say 20 years ago. So that's not going to be an issue, so I'm not as concerned. Any other discussion?
I'm looking at the item 5 on our of the preliminary changes, and the big thing is that there are the following findings. The approved permit remains consistent with the adopted general plan. the approved permit remains in conformance with the requirements of Title 17 zoning, and the setting and local circumstances of the approved variance permit have not changed in such a way to make the previously approved permit incompatible or inappropriate with the surrounding area, and the request and fee for the extension was filed prior to the expiration date of the approved variance permit. And, and also item 6 says that the appeal procedures are being modified, so any action by the planning director on a time extension for these permits can be appealed to the planning commission, and any action that we take can be appealed to the city council. So there is plenty of room for public input and also for streamlining the process and being consistent. So I think it's very reasonable.
Very good. Any other discussion? Can I get a motion on PC Resolution 2018-12?
I move we adopt a resolution entitled PC Resolution 2018-12.
I second it.
I get a roll call vote?
Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
Vice Chair Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Strong,
Aye.
Commissioner Langworthy.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4-0.
Very good.